We continue right here on Mad Dog Sports Radio here on a Sunday. And joining me right now is a four-time Super Bowl champion defensive coordinator. The defensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, Steve Spagnuolo, joins the show. Steve, I can't thank you enough for a couple minutes. I hope all is well, and I hope it never gets old being introduced now as a four-time Super Bowl champion.
No, when you say it there, Jake, then it starts to sink in. I haven't thought much about it other than the fact that we won this one, because you're always in the moment, right? It's all about the game you're playing and the one that you just won. But it's nice to hear and always good to talk to you, Jake.
No question. So, take me back to your emotions as this game is going final and you see Mecole Hardman score this game-winning touchdown. What are like the initial thoughts when a crazy game, an all-time game in the Super Bowl occurs and you're on the side that finds a way to win?
Yeah, listen, thank God we got Patrick Mahomes, right? That we trust. Well, listen, to be honest with you, in the role that we play defensively, you're always getting ready for the next. And in that particular case, once Patrick got us into field goal range, my mind started to turn toward, okay, if we get the field goal, it almost looks like, okay, we've got a field goal right now. What do we got to do when we go back out there? And then along with that, you're just hoping and praying, we find a way to score a touchdown. And so I saw it from, to my left, and we scored, and then everybody's jumping up and down. And I immediately turned to my right, and Drew Tranquil was there. And he was one of the guys, Jake, to be honest with you, that I had hoped and prayed would get a Super Bowl ring. He came to us from the LA Chargers this year and was just instrumental in what we did defensively. And him and his family and his kids, and I knew it was in. He was just on the ground. His head was buried in the ground, so I just kind of jumped on him and told him how happy I was for him. But that's what I remember immediately after the game ended.
When it gets to overtime, Steve, what are your thoughts on San Francisco deciding to take the ball? Because so much has been made of it since the game ended and the different strategies that are involved in that. What was your reaction as the guy who's in charge of immediately going up against that Niners offense at the beginning of overtime?
Yeah, my mind again is, I know we're going to have to go out there and play defense one way or the other. Now, whether we're first or whether we're second, and we had gone through all the scenarios, like if we're out there first, there's a chance it's a 3-down series, right? If you get them to, we almost had them stopped on that third thing, they would have punted the ball. If we go out there second and our offense has put some points up, then it's a 4-down situation. So my mind was kind of on that, and I looked and said, okay, we're going on defense first, and then you just kind of roll. I wasn't wrapped up in why did they do that? I didn't even think that way. I was just looking at my call list as soon as I knew we were going out there, and away we went. And thank God, we were able to hold no field goal.
Chiefs defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, my guest here on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Jake Asman with you until 8 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Coach, when you kind of look back on this season, was there a moment or a couple moments here throughout the season when you realized, hey, maybe this defense is a lot better than a lot of people realized it was supposed to be?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I felt like coming out of last year with all the youth that we had, that, if we could keep everybody healthy, I thought we could progress as a defense and add on, become a little bit more multiple. And then when we got Mike Edwards, Drew Tranquil, and Charles Omenihu, 3 key guys that we got in free agency, plus the rookie Jamari Connor from Virginia Tech and a couple other backup guys, I said, we got some pieces we can use here. So all the way through training camp, I thought maybe we could be good. It was about when Nick Bolton got hurt, somewhere, Jake, early in the year, maybe third or fourth game, and Drew Tranquil had to go in there at Mike linebacker for like a 3-game stretch, and we didn't skip a beat. That's when I knew we had some pieces that we could sustain some injuries. And, I knew we had Chris Jones and LJ Snead. Trent McDuffie started playing great. It was kind of a progressive thing, but every game, kind of sits on its own, and you just hope in the next game you can produce like you did the game before. But I was real proud of the way the guys played.
Your defense in the postseason, faced 4 of the top 6 offenses in the playoffs, which combined for 28.6 points per game. And your defense went out there and held them on average to 12.5 points per game. So as great as you guys were in the regular season, it feels like in the postseason, you guys played at a different level. Was there something that clicked? Was there something from a game plan perspective that you honed in on? I mean, it just feels like you guys played your best football when it mattered the most.
Yeah, credit to the guys, right? They stepped up when they had to. Well, listen, the good Lord shined on us, so I say shine. he put some cold weather in that Miami game. That helped a little
That's right.
early because I know they didn't really want to play in that. And then, up to Buffalo, going to Buffalo and going to Baltimore were huge, huge challenges. And for our guys to play the way they did. And when you go on the road, quite frankly, your defense needs to step up to win games because you're facing an offense in the crowd and the whole thing, and they usually generate points. And listen, playing Tua, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, three of the very best guys that can run around and give you headaches. That was really, really a challenge for our guys. But true to the nature of these guys, Jake, I think they enjoy the challenge, especially our secondary. I go back to L.J. Snead and Trent McDuffie, Josh, Jalen. Those guys, they love to get up there and challenge wide receivers. And I think that helped us put everything else together. And fortunately for us, we kept the point total down.
We're talking with Chiefs defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo right here on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Coach, when you look at just the game plan specifically for the Super Bowl, I've heard you make some comments that you guys had to kind of adjust from one half to another based on what the Niners were doing. Can you take my audience inside what some of those adjustments were and what you guys had to specifically do in that second half to try and play a lot better and find a way to get it done?
Yeah. Well, I remember distinctly, Jake, that some of our zone coverages just it didn't feel like it was sticky enough. San Francisco was so good at what we call these in-breaking routes. And I thought Brock Purdy was just terrific, even going into the game, at how the timing of his throws and the accuracy. But before the receiver even makes his break, he's letting the ball out. And it made it tough for our safeties to kind of be close enough. So we did shift gears a little bit to play a little bit more man in the second half. And our guys wanted to. You look in their eye when you're at halftime, Jake, you throw out a suggestion, and you just kind of look and see what the response is. And the response was terrific. Yeah, let's do it, Coach. We're good. We want that. They embraced it. We put in, I think, one or two, when I say new defenses, I mean new to the game plan, not new as far as, we didn't draw them up in the dirt there in the locker room. But we put things we'd used during the season. It helped initially. Leo Chanel had broke through on a pressure we put early, so that helped. And I I didn't even realize this, Jake, until I watched the game later. But when you come out in the second half and in the first three series, they get the ball. It's 3 and outs. That's guys taking a halftime adjustment and rolling with it. So a lot of credit to the players to be able to do that.
Chiefs defensive coordinator, now a 4-time Super Bowl champion, Steve Spagnuolo, with me here on Bad Dog Sports Radio. Jake has been hanging out with you till 8 p.m. tonight. Coach, 4-time Super Bowl champion coordinator. It's never happened in the history of the NFL. One, did you realize that going in that you had a chance to be part of history if you guys were able to win that championship last Sunday? And two, what does it mean to you to become the first 4-time Super Bowl winning coordinator?
Well, first of all, it's very humbling, Jake, to hear something like that because, anytime, those kind of titles get slapped on a coach, it's really the reflection of the players and the assistant coaches that you have. I keep coming back to this, and I can go back on all 4 of them and think of the defensive staffs that I was on, most of them in this three-time run here, 3 out of 5 year run. A lot of these guys have been the same coaches, but when you're blessed to have coaches that buy in, they're loyal, they're committed, and guys that can teach really good, talented players, usually you can play some pretty good defense. And you have to be, listen, if you're on the defensive side of the ball, Jake, you also have a good offense and good special teams. It's a team thing, right? The win is a team win. It's not one person, it's not one player, but just blessed to be on good teams, that take it all the way and find a way to win the final big game.
I'm sure you're going to be asked a lot about this now going forward, but has the thought of one day being in the Pro Football Hall of Fame crossed your mind, Spags?
Nah, not really. Somebody mentioned it the other day. That just seems so overwhelming to me. It's never been on my radar. I don't think you get into coaching, at any point and say, I'm doing this to get in the Hall of Fame. It would be very humbling. I think anybody would tell you that it would be a great honor. I haven't thought much about it. I think I'll let the people that make those decisions. I think I'll let them decide. I'm getting ready for the next season now. That's what my mind is. Getting ready for the next season. Who we gonna who are we going to draft, who are we going to pick up, and I'll worry about all that other stuff like probably when I'm done coaching.
Well, congratulations, of course, on the contract extension. That news came out right after the Super Bowl. For you, Coach, getting a chance to be with Andy Reid all these years and see what he does up close, what is something maybe the general public is unaware of what goes on kind of behind the scenes with Coach Reid that allows you guys to be put in such great positions to have success?
Yeah, listen, I've said this before about Andy, the greatest thing about Coach Reid is he's rock solid. Like, he's so steady, never gets too high, never gets too low. I think that's reflects or filters right on down to our coaches and our players. That and the fact that Coach Reid is so good at just letting you do your job. Like, he's got tremendous confidence in his staff and his players, and he lets guys be who they are, both as coaches and as players. He's always saying, let your personality show. He believes in that, and our guys, we got some players with some personalities, which is great. And I think our guys, they embrace that, and they embrace who he is and try to reflect who he is, which is just rock steady. And you got to be that way in this league because there's so many ups and downs.
Did you see, of course, the now viral video of speaking of personality of your future Hall of Fame tight end Travis Kelce and Coach Reid bumping each other on the sideline? Have you seen that?
I did. Somebody sent it to my phone, so I saw it real quickly. But that's a fired up Travis Kelce, that's for sure.
What has this last season kind of been like with Travis Kelce and the Taylor Swift mania that, it's been? I mean, you can't avoid it if you're a football fan. I mean, Taylor Swift has been, a part of your football season. There's no way around that.
Yeah, it's funny, Jake. You really don't. I don't feel it that much. I mean, we're in the building, right? Coaches, we get behind those four walls. So I'm not, we're not. I say reading newspapers because I'm old, but I mean, I'm not a social media guy, so I don't feel it probably to the extreme that like our players are out there all the time. They may feel that. I did get a chance to meet her, and she's wonderful and all that. I'm happy for Travis.
No doubt about it. Coach Steve Spagnuolo is my guest here, Mad Dog Sports Radio, Chiefs defensive coordinator, now a four-time Super Bowl champion. And, Coach, I'd obviously be remiss if I didn't check in with you, make sure everything's okay with you and your family, given what happened at the championship parade the other day. Just kind of take us through your thoughts on that and your emotions as such a special day is obviously marred with a very serious tragedy.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Jake, because prayers to the families that were affected and the one loss of life. It was a sad way to end a really, really, really good day. And it was a little, I'm not going to lie to you, it was a little concerning and scary because when there's panic in people's faces, and listen, you got to remember, coaches had their kids there, families, they were a little shook up. But, finally, I thought the police department and the people that were responsible for our security did a terrific job. Unfortunately, there was, it wasn't worse than it was, but it's still a very sad thing. And again, we pray for the families that were most affected.
Well said. Coach, before we wrap up here, I'm just curious because we have seen now a couple head coaching opportunities these last two cycles go to defensive-minded guys. In fact, I think this year, 5 of the 8 vacancies that were filled by defensive guys. And I've said this on all my shows the last couple of years. I'm shocked that you have not had another opportunity to be a head coach, especially when you see guys that have had now a second crack at it, and you certainly have paid your dues. Is being a head coach something you still want to do? Or at this point, the fact that you continue to win Super Bowls in Kansas City and, as we talked about, you're the first 4-time champion as a coordinator, is that something maybe you want to do for the rest of your career?
Yeah, look, I've been asked this question a lot, Jake. I'll answer it the same way. I absolutely would want to. I mean, listen, we're prideful guys in this business, and it wasn't a success when I was in St. Louis, although I think what gets lost in this is when we went from year 1 to year 2, and that second year in 2010, had we won the last game of the season, we're in the playoffs and hosting a playoff game against the New Orleans Saints, and it didn't happen. Then we hit the lockout and things didn't go well and we were gone. But I will say this, I let, listen, the answer to the question is yes. But I always follow up with this. If it never happens and it's God's will that I continue to do what I'm doing, I'm a blessed man. I've got a great job. I work for a great head coach and a great organization. So I'll let those things, take care of themselves. I always put it in God's hands, and then we'll see what happens. But I'm just been very fortunate, again, to be on great teams and, win a couple of Super Bowls, which is really kind of neat.
Speaking of winning a couple Super Bowls, it's never happened in the history of the NFL that a team has been able to win 3 straight. Has that crossed your mind? Are you already thinking about making history again next year?
Are you kidding me? Our guys, all they're saying is three-peat. I mean, I love, professional athletes, Jake. They just bubble with confidence, and it's amazing that the guys thought about that immediately. I mean, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, that might have been his first thought in the locker room after we won, and that just shows you what they're made of. Guys like that, elite athletes. That if you win one, you want to win more. I mean, if they love a challenge, and so I guess the next challenge would be try to go back to back to back.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you this as we wrap up here, Coach. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is being compared to Tom Brady, and rightfully so, given what Mahomes has already accomplished. As someone who's gone toe-to-toe with Tom Brady, and you famously orchestrated the defense that stopped maybe the greatest team in NFL history, led by Brady back in 2007 with the Giants. What are your thoughts on those comparisons, and is it fair to even make those comparisons given what Brady did for the longevity of his career?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I know Patrick's a humble guy. I think that comparison will continue because I know Patrick will continue to play elite football, and then we'll see. I think anytime you do that, don't you have to wait for both careers to be finished? I mean, we don't know what the future holds. I know Tom's is over and legendary. I mean, nothing even compares to what he did, in my opinion, right now. But Patrick's certainly on that track, and we got all the confidence in the world in him.
If he could play defense, what position would Patrick Mahomes be able to play for Steve Spagnuolo?
I said that the other day. He could play. He's that kind of athlete. He would win at anything. Jay, you put him play ping pong, you play pool, you play golf, you play chess. I bet you he'd beat us in that. He's just an elite. He's got an elite mind. His perception and things he sees is unbelievable. And then you know how athletic he is. But we'd put him in. We'd find a spot for him. I guarantee you that.
Well, Coach, congratulations. This is becoming an annual tradition between you and I. You win the championship, and you get a chance to talk with me. So I can't thank you enough for a couple minutes today. And I hope you get a chance to really enjoy celebrating this title. And I know it's right back to work for Coach Spags. So thanks again for your time.
Yeah, Jake, always great to talk to you. Appreciate you having me on.